Memphis, Tennessee, make some noise! All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, High Tone in Memphis, for having us. We are at episode 9 of the Quarter Mile podcast. This is our live episode recording. Just like in every Fast and Furious movie, our cast has gotten bigger. We have some all-stars here tonight. We are so happy that we're here with you guys in the High Tone, and we're so happy that our family has grown. Is it weird when I look at you and say our family? I feel like maybe I shouldn't have phrased that.
We're family.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Yeah. Me and Bailey's family has grown, and I'm so excited. We have several guests for this episode, and you see a couple of them right now, and you'll see a couple throughout the episode. And if you're listening to us, you won't see any of them, but you'll hear their voices.
But just listen.
Yeah, just listen to those dulcet tones.
Okay.
So before we get rocking with F9, the world's favorite Fast and Furious movie, we're going to introduce two of our guests. I'm going to start with the gentleman next to me. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
My name is Adam Maldonado. I'm a stand-up comic, and I work in the cannabis industry. I run the Don't Tell comedy shows over in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and Little Rock, Arkansas as well. I just got that. So I think I broke the first rule, though. I told, and I wasn't supposed to tell. So
yeah, you have those don't tells for now, but
yeah, I'm really bad about the not telling part. I tell everybody.
So does literally any comedian on those don't tell shows.
It can be anybody from
So Adam, what is your relationship to Fast and Furious?
Okay, well, they told me I could only take 5 minutes, so I'm going to try to make it as quick as I can. I've seen every movie multiple times. I started when I was I want to say I was 11 or 12 years old when the first one came out. And, my brother's 4 years older than me, and his friends are, into car stuff, which is to show you how much I've learned from watching all of the movies. I refer to stuff related to cars as car stuff. So that's how educational they are when it comes to actual automobile maintenance. But yeah, I was telling Nate before the show, by the time we got to the third movie is when I had my first girlfriend, and we were making out in the middle of the movie, and then it was on DVD. So it got to the intro credits while we were just making out, so we were just listening to that bump 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 for an hour and a half, making out with our clothes on.
So that every time that song plays, what you think about is so different than
I'm
whatever.
just man, I miss Britney.
Man. R.I.P. Britney. I mean, that's not what you say about ex-girlfriends.
Yeah. And then I actually snuck in to see Furious 6. I snuck in to see that one in Vegas. I was like, man, I feel like I'm part of the crew now.
Yeah, right.
I paid for another movie and then snuck into that one on my way out. I was like, yeah, it's evolving.
That is the most Fast and Furious way to see Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I thought so.
Very on brand of you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Brittany would be proud.
Yes, she would. She would be.
And I first met Adam this year. We're both comedians, and I met him at a show in Memphis. And the reason I was so excited to have you on this podcast was because. And you might have been a little buzzed when you had this conversation, but he pulls me aside as a guy he's never talked to before, and he's like, I have to tell you how I think Fast and Furious should end. And the way he told, the enthusiasm, and maybe we'll get you towards the end of the episode, we'll get you to share because that's a question I'm going to be asking people for the Fast 10 episodes, how they think the movie should end. But the way Adam shared, it was... If I'm just saying, I was a pastor for several years. If people shared about Jesus with as much passion as Adam shared about the finale he thinks Fast and Furious should have, this the whole world would be saved. It was. So we might get you later on to talk to that. So listeners, you got to keep listening. But and then our second guest is another comedian in the Memphis area, a good friend of mine, Nathan Jaxon. Nathan, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
My name is Nathan Jaxon. I am also a comedian here in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm one of the curators for the Good Vibes Comedy Festival that is here held at the High Tone, upstairs and downstairs, with comics from all over the country that come in and do comedy at shows. So come for that. I'm a road comic essentially now, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've made it to that, so that's cool. I'm happy about it. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man. And what is your relationship with Fast and Furious?
Okay, look, so I was in high school when the first movie came out. I had just bought my first car with my own real money, right, from not stealing at Kroger. But
Oddly specific.
it's been too much time, so it's fine. But yeah, I got my first car and I built it myself, and so like I built a group of friends, and so we all like rode around wasting gas because it was hella cheap at the time. But I also worked at the movie theater too, so like it was cool because I got to see it before it came out, and then I got to brag to my friends and be like, "But dude, you should see this movie. My car is the shit and yours is not. Mine is in the movie." You know what I mean? And so like that was cool. But also I was just telling Adam earlier, right, that I got into the Fast and the Furious because I was a fan of the original black and white 1954 movie, which I don't know if people know this. Drop some facts real quick. So the original 1954 movie, right, was a movie about this dude who basically he was like an FBI agent, and then he got framed for murder, and then he had to infiltrate the like IndyCar circuit so he could be around them and shit. Then he made friends with this dude, and basically he stole his girl and he married her, and then they got caught almost, and he was like, "Look, I gotta marry this chick so we can kind of be family." So he did that, and then they escaped, and the cops chased him all the way to Mexico, and then he got away. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
That sounds great.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah.
You still gotta. Here's the
You gotta
thing.
watch
You
it.
still gotta watch it because for 1954, it was stuff that was happening that you would be like, "What the hell? I can't believe it."
Yeah.
Turbo on a 1954 heavy, whatever. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. That was amazing to me.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And fun fact, I was on one of Nathan also has he's got a podcast, and I was on an episode. What happened to that episode, Nate?
Oh, so what happened to that episode is
Because you can't listen to it.
yeah, you can't listen to it because I was trying to steal some DVD players, and my car got repoed, so that computer was in the car. No, actually, that computer got tore up, and I could never get those files back.
I'm sorry,
So, yeah.
but if I was a petty person in post editing, I would cut out
Right.
every part that Nathan is in this podcast and post it, and it'd be like a 2-year grudge and like a mastermind plot.
Well,
with
look,
flashbacks.
I do have another podcast called The Big Back Adventures where I talk about food and comedy.
That's
And
actually
we
that's
can-
my 2 favorite things.
You have to come on podcast, right? You have to come on podcast. All right.
Yeah. maybe we can do another episode. You can break your computer again, and it never.
I'll upload as soon as we do I'm gonna upload it right then.
It's
I'm
okay.
like, I know it's there.
I'm not bitter about it. It's fine. It was only 2 years ago. I should probably stop mentioning it. Well, thank you guys both and we have more special guests coming up on this. But I guess we should like check in with our actual other host, right? Like that's probably Bailey. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Drew?
How do you feel about like? Should we rename this episode Bailey and the Boys? Like I feel like that'd be a cool with a Z.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Absolutely.
I'm good. How's the past month been for you?
I think it's been good.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of like most of them. The end of it happens, and then I realize another month went past.
Yeah, and it keeps going. It just keeps going.
One
And
quarter
then I
of a
just
mile at a
keep
time.
going on the
Quarter
wheel.
mile at a time. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I guess we should probably. Do you guys want to talk about F9? Should we talk
Yes.
about that
Let's
movie?
talk
Let's
about
do it.
F9 and why they named it that.
Because it was a tornado of awesomeness.
Right.
I feel like that's maybe.
They ran out of names.
And technically, the name isn't just F9. The full name, in case you didn't know what was going on in your 9 movies into the series, is F9: the Fast Saga, or Saga if you say it correctly.
Huh.
So it literally goes, Fast 5. I'm starting us in the middle just so I don't have to say all the names. But Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7. The fate of the Furious. Okay, wordplay. We're okay with that change. And then
Right.
F9: the Fast Saga. In case you were like, "What is this a series?"
I feel like that was lazy. That was
what I
mad lazy.
That was
I was
very
like,
lazy.
you could have came. If you are gonna jump wordplay in 8, right, and go, oh, Fate
Yeah.
of the Furious, you could at least been like, The Fallen Furious. So you could have said something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
There's something could have been there.
Yeah.
Fast 10, your seatbelt.
That would have been.
That's
great.
what everybody wanted.
They should have done that one.
I think it was the F was like for fuck. 9 of these things.
What's going on?
We made it to 9.
F me 9 times. I have to watch this movie one more time. Oh my gosh. I love it. It came out in 2021, and for a lot of people, this would have been like their first post-COVID going back to the theaters.
Oof.
Not for me. I wasn't secure enough about COVID yet. So I did my normal Fast and Furious marathon, watched all 8 at the time movies at my house. And I had plenty of time because we were quarantined. And then I illegally downloaded this movie. But I didn't want to miss it. But I also didn't want to go to theaters and like support local movies at the time. So this is
Don't
the first.
feel bad.
Yeah,
I definitely bootleg.
This was the first one I saw at my house.
I had no idea that was how you did that, because during the COVID times, that was when I went back and watched all of them when that one came out. I was like, well, I'm not going to watch that one without watching.
Oh, you can't.
It's like
no.
kind of like we're like, I don't know, like brothers or something?
Yeah, I feel a
Family.
kinship with you.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
That's crazy. We were doing the same thing at the
You're
same time.
the
we didn't even know.
Roman to my Paul Walker.
Yeah, there you go. We didn't even know.
That's awesome. Great. So 2021, we ask this every month when we do an episode. What were we doing in 2021? Does anyone have any fun 2021 stories?
2021. 2020.
We were not dying from COVID. We made it through
Okay.
COVID, so that part I can say.
Oh, I can tell you something that happened in 2021. 2021 was a crazy thing. I've talked about this before, but in 2021, I did a show at now the closed Chuckles Comedy Club
Yeah.
that was here in town.
R.I.P..
Right. I did a show with Lavelle Crawford, and Lavelle Crawford, if everybody knows me, is like top 5 one of my favorite comics. Right. This dude gave me a chance on stage. Right. I did 3 minutes. He looked me in my face. These are the first words he said to me. I walked up to be like, hey, can I get this? He's like, are you a comic? I said, yeah. He was like, be funny and don't fuck it up. I was like, oh, shit, okay.
There you go.
Oh my God.
Good advice.
And I went on stage. He was like, you got 3 minutes. And I totally fucked it up. I looked at my hero look at me and shake his head in disappointment like my father and walk off. But he gave me a second chance, and I came back and I did 7 minutes and killed it.
Nice.
And that changed the trajectory of how I do comedy now. So, yeah.
I'm so glad you got like the second chance and you kept going. Like, what if
Yeah.
like the ending of the story was like, and then I stopped doing comedy?
Yeah. Yeah.
What were you doing in 2021?
I have no idea. I was 20 years old. That was all. I don't remember. I was probably working at Best Buy.
All right, yeah.
Oh, yeah. DVDs.
DVDs,
It's all
stealing
tied
them.
together.
That's when we probably had DVDs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still had DVDs at that time, actually. Just before they took them.
I don't remember what was going on. I do remember how excited I was for the first time in quarantine that I had like no reason not to watch the movies all the time. Like I was like, now I'm saving America by staying in here and doing a Fast and Furious marathon. They laughed at me for the past 8 times I've done this, but this time I'm a hero. So so that was my. What were you doing in 2021?
Other than watching them every Sunday, like my family, I would make my family. I would be like, guys, if we're gonna be a family, we have to watch these together. I made them watch all 9 of the movies every Sunday,
Wow.
so it took
That
up the
is
entire summer.
Good for you.
to watch all of the
That's a good
movies.
family member.
And I bought my first house and ended a really terrible relationship that got me back into doing stand-up comedy. And I joke about it. I joke about it every single chance I get on stage.
I'm
and
so
just
glad that relation ended. So
Yeah.
that I'm so glad you went through all that. I mean, because then he got into his comedy, and then
yeah.
we met through comedy,
Yeah,
and now
yeah.
he's here at this podcast. It's like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Even traumatic relationships. That's terrible. I'm
It
sorry,
also,
Adam.
him saying that, I'm like, wow, us comedians have sad lives, and all we have is Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
That's all we have.
but it brings you together. It's like Olive Garden.
Absolutely. What if I don't know, like that was so relatable for me. It was like, yes, I felt that so much. So
It came from the heart, Drew.
yeah, I feel that. So this movie, the thing about F9, which stuck out to me a lot more than the other movies, although you could say it about some of the other ones, is it has the cast of a lifetime. Like literally everyone from 2021 is in this.
Yeah.
So Fast 9, F9 stars Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, Jordana Brewster. The first movie I actually liked her in. We've talked shit about Jordana every.
man.
This was the first movie
Oh,
she was not terrible.
Come on, dog.
Yeah, she literally. Can I do a dark joke? Or you guys okay with me doing a joke? If I was Paul Walker and that was my on-screen wife for so many movies, I would have run my car into it as well. I'm just saying.
That's Mia, dog.
Hey, he was there for the tuna sandwich, bro.
That's what they're calling.
This movie had Jordana Brewster, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Nathalie Emmanuel, Charlize Theron, John Cena, Sung Kang, Helen Mirren, Kurt Russell, Lucas Black, and Little Bow Wow. But this movie did not have The Rock or Jason Statham, kind of.
Kind of. Yeah, kind of.
I wanted to check in with you about Jason Statham because if you guys haven't been, if you guys don't know, Bailey has discovered a new love through the Fast and Furious. This is not Fast and Furious, but it is Jason Statham.
Okay.
So
That's true. It was Vin Diesel until he came into the picture.
something about those bald guys, but she has a hierarchy of bald men, and it's
It's because they're angry,
Wait,
but
have
they're not.
Bailey, have you not seen him in The Transporter?
Of course I am.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, wait a minute.
He's a bad mamma jamma.
He's
What are you
rolling
talking
around
about?
in oil. Sorry, not to
Yeah.
different car franchise.
It's fine, but this movie's about the women. Let's be honest here.
yeah, is it?
They really
Anyway.
do give the women a lot more to do
They
in this
do.
movie.
They really do.
Jordana Brewster becomes a super spy, which is why
Yeah.
you don't like her. She's not just like, when are you coming home? Like she's
Yeah.
like doing stuff. You know,
Yeah.
she's all of a sudden is in Krav Maga and can like beat up.
Yeah.
Literally, every
Mercenaries.
woman in there has some sort of role,
Yeah.
at least.
I wish at one point after they do all the spy stuff and karate things, at one point like Mia turns to Letty and is like, remember when we used to steal DVD players and now we're like fighting off ninjas? Like, remember?
Hey.
Right.
You know, it's crazy. F9 passes the Bechdel test or whatever.
What's
Or-
the Bechdel test?
It's like a thing in cinema where like they have to have like two female characters talk to each other for like 5 minutes and not be about a man that they're in love with
Yeah.
or in a
That's
relationship
disgusting.
with. Yeah, like
You're
that's
right. There
there's
doesn't
so
even
many
need to
movies
be.
that don't
More
pass it.
women just need to talk about that. You're right.
Oh well. See, I see where I sit here now. Just so y'all know.
Yeah, we're gonna need you to do how many minutes?
Five.
Well, so
5
you need at least 5 minutes of not talking
That's
about
my
love stories.
entire life is not talking about men for 5 minutes.
Yeah, but
This is the 5 minutes you hear me talking about men.
you could argue that they like bring up Han. It's when they're looking for Han, but
Yeah.
they're not talking about somebody that they're like, oh, I wish he would love me this way or whatever. Like they're talking about the mission. you
Yeah.
know? So.
And I really did. And fun fact, actually, 2 fun facts. Second one has nothing to do with actually what we're talking about, but I think it's the best Fast and Furious 9 fact out there. But regarding this, I think it was Letty, Michelle Rodriguez, was the one who's like, me and Mia need something. like that we need some kind of interaction. We've been in several movies together, and this was like their first
Yeah.
on-screen like, oh, they actually
Right.
know each other. Supposedly they grew up in the same area and
Yeah.
like we're basically
Right.
sisters, and this is the first movie they actually have a conversation with each other.
And that
so.
was something that when they did finally have their interaction or whatever, it kind of made me mad. I'm not gonna lie, because it was like, y'all have known each other for years. You have been dating his brother for a long time. You as his sister should be like, hey Liddy, I know you date my brother, whatever, but just so you know, I don't fuck with you. You toxic to my brother, okay? Like he'll burn a whole town down for you, and that's not cool. Like,
Oh,
but we work
God.
together, so it's fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like I
They
feel
know that
like,
we're sisters too, kind of thing. It's
yeah,
like-
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Also, this is my favorite F9 fact that I just feel like it shines so much light on this movie and the Fast and Furious and Vin Diesel. So Vin Diesel himself is a method actor. and he has in his house he has a Dom shrine, a room dedicated to Dominic Toretto. And every time a new Fast and Furious movie,
I thought I was the only one.
yeah,
Oh man, is this man worshiping himself?
it's where he goes to get in the character and I guess pray to himself. I don't know, but and this is the part where I have to remind everyone listening or watching, I am not making this up because this next part sounds really made up. But it is. There's an interviews where he admits this to other living human beings, where when he was praying in his Dom shrine, he had a vision where Paul Walker came to him and said, "Okay, for the 9th movie, you need to get John Cena." And that's how we have John Cena in the. And the crazy thing is in my brain, that means he had to go into the room of directors and be like, guys, Paul Walker told me when I was having my Dom time that we should get John Cena to be a star in this movie. And at 9 movies in, the directors are like, okay, that makes sense.
You know what? It probably made more sense if I was in the room of directors, if Vin Diesel came in and was like, look, I was praying to myself in a closet, and one of the characters came to me and said, I would be like, look, just do what he say for he kill us. That's probably what was happening. They were like, just do it.
Yeah,
We're like, this is probably makes sense why, because you know how you see like Hollywood be like, well, why don't Vin Diesel be in more movies? This is probably why. This is probably why. He probably got sticks and trees in another closet, and he's like, I got to get into Groot character real quick. Like, okay, that's wild.
Love it. Yeah.
That's wild.
So, if you watch our podcast, if you listen to our podcast, you know that what we normally do, because in case you haven't watched Fast and Furious, we always like to take care of you, like to give you an AI plot summary. However, this time we're doing something a little bit different. We brought in another comedian. So at this point, I'd like to introduce our AI plot summary of this is Zach
Hello.
Williams.
How you doing?
Vin Diesel Part 2.
So glad to be part of this.
Who apparently found the Vin Diesel shrine.
I've found my new identity. I just feel so right now. So very happy.
So before, unless you're too into character, and we just need to rush to the point,
family, dude. It's
please,
fine. Whatever.
Tell us a little bit about who you used to be and things
Yeah.
that you did.
So in my previous life, I was known as Zach Williams. I'm a comic here in Memphis. I host a weekly open mic bell curve comedy at Urban Consequence Brewing Company. I also co-produce a monthly show at High Cotton Brewery. Last Saturday of every month, and upcoming, I have a show with High Water Comedy at Germantown Community Theater Friday, October 4th. Come see it. And that's all I got going on.
And here's the thing about Zach. We asked him to give us a plot summary for F9, which he's about to share. But the fun fact you all may or may not know is we asked specifically for Zach to do this because I knew that Zach had never seen any Fast and Furious movie ever. So what's more fun than asking someone who's never seen the first 8 movies to just randomly watch the 9th movie and then share with us his own plot summary? So, without further ado, I would like to turn the stage over to Zach to share us his plot summary of F9.
Fast and Furious 9 plot summary. Scene 1. We open on a stock car race. A driver whose helmet says Toretto is driving. As he pulls in for a pit stop, 1989 pops up on the screen. A mechanic, Hubbard, comes to the driver's side window and tells the driver, Jack, that he doesn't need to try so hard. Jack looks over the dash and yells, Jacob, now! Into the frame walks another mechanic who we learn is Jack's son, Dom. As Dom coaches his dad on navigating the track, the team behind Jack's car starts yelling at them. Once out on the track, Jack and the other team's driver begin driving aggressively at each other until Jack's car is launched into the air where it bursts into flames. Scene 2. Vin Diesel and a toddler are working on a tractor on a farm, far enough off the grid that they don't have to worry about child labor laws. A woman in overalls comes out when a car pulls up. The child, Brian, crawls into a hole in the floor of the barn, and Vin Diesel and Miss Overalls arm themselves. A man steps out and introduces himself as Roman. Then Ludacris and one of his backup dancers get out of the car and everyone hugs. Ludacris's backup dancer plays a grainy video of Kurt Russell sending out an SOS message that his plane is under attack. It is revealed that Kurt Russell caught Cypher, an evil hacker with a Captain Kangaroo haircut. It is also revealed that his plane went down in Monte Quinto, not a real place. It is now nighttime on the farm, and Brian is asking Vin Diesel if he knows where God is. Vin Diesel goes into his garage and rewatches the Kurt Russell video, then looks at a photo of a church. The word Monte Quinto, not a real place, appears on a screen, and we see a caravan of sports cars, military vehicles, and a motorcycle whipping around the cliffs while techno music pulsates. The group cautiously approaches the crash site of Kurt Russell's plane. Ludacris's backup dancer unlocks a compartment in the plane to discover a mysterious object. Monte Quinto's fictional military shows up, and a gunfight ensues. Vin Diesel and the gang make it to their vehicles, flee, and are pursued by the military through a minefield. The camera pulls back to show a mysterious figure next to a sports car watching the pursuit from a distant high altitude. As the gang exits the minefield, the military vehicles pursuing them are destroyed. Roman's vehicle becomes lodged in a rock formation, and he narrowly avoids being crushed to death. Ludacris's backup dancer locates a bridge that will take them across the border to reality and safety. The gang heads toward the bridge, but they are cut off en route. Miss Overalls is attacked and launched off her motorcycle, but is safely caught by the hood of Vin Diesel's car. The device is scooped up by John Cena, the observer from earlier. Vin Diesel and John Cena lock eyes, then race towards the bridge. Ludacris arrives at the bridge first, but destroys the bridge as he's driving across. As Vin Diesel and John Cena race, a military helicopter appears and fires missiles at them. John Cena hits his nitrous and flies over the side of the cliff, only to be scooped up by a stealth plane. Vin Diesel uses his nitrous to go over the cliff and catches one of the bridge cables on his passenger front tire, causing his car to swing across the border into safety. Back on the military plane, Ludacris's backup dancer announces that she's recovered GPS coordinates from Kurt Russell's plane. Then Ludacris says, quote, "Question, who is Jacob?" Because he had not seen John Cena. Dom and Jacob confront the rival driver who, flashback. Dom and Jacob confront the rival who caused the crash. After the driver insults his father, Dom attacks him and ends up going to prison. Scene 4. John Cena is meeting with his captive, Cypher, in an aircraft hangar. John Cena shows her the device recovered from the crash. She tells him that the other half is in Edinburgh. Scene 5. Vin Diesel leads his group through a Tim Burton's Batman-style military base. Ludacris states that this must be Kurt Russell's secret hideout. Vin Diesel tells the group, "Whatever happens, it's on me." Roman replies, "Whatever's on you, it's on us." While Ludacris and his backup dancer repair computers, Roman begins to question the nature of his reality, recounting past adventures and marveling at the statistical unlikelihood of their continued survival. His observations are ridiculed and ultimately dismissed. While Vin Diesel and Miss Overalls are talking, Ludacris walks in and says, "We've got company. I think you know this person." Some white woman walks in, and we learn that it's Vin Diesel's sister. Vin Diesel points out that she has left her children to be here, and she tells Vin Diesel that her kids and his son, Brian, are with Brian. After the group reconvenes, Ludacris's backup dancer explains Project Ares, the mysterious object recovered from Kurt Russell's plane. Vin Diesel suggests that they split up to find the other piece before John Cena. Before they leave, Ludacris brings up an image of an Asian man, revealed to be a dead man named Han. Vin Diesel pulls out the photograph from the church and remarks that he received it the day Han died, and turns it over to reveal that the postmark is stamped Tokyo. Flashback, Dom is in prison where he's working in an auto shop. Dom realizes that his father's fatal crash may have been a result of some tampering with the engine. Dom leaves prison and immediately goes to a street racing meetup in direct violation of his parole. There, Dom meets his brother Jacob and challenges him to a race. Dom wins the race, and Jacob is sentenced to drive away for good. Scene 6. Vin Diesel pulls up to the racetrack where Jacob Toretto died and Jack Toretto, sorry, and confronts Hubbard the mechanic, who gives him a Corona beer and tells him that John Cena is going to London. Cut to Tokyo. Miss Overalls notices a Mexican flag in the window and assumes that it must be connected to Han. Cut to Cologne, Germany, where Lil Bow Wow and his friends are working on a rocket car. Ludacris and Roman show up. Ludacris asks the mechanics for a vehicle that does not explode and explains that Vin Diesel sent them. Cut to London. We see a fancy jewelry showing. Helen Mirren walks out with a stolen necklace, and Vin Diesel catches her stealing the keys to a sports car. The police chase them while Vin Diesel inquires if she has seen John Cena. Amazingly, she has. She then takes him to the set of a rap video at a mansion where John Cena is hiding out. Vin Diesel meets John Cena, but is then arrested. In the police van, it is revealed that Cardi B is one of the police that arrested Vin Diesel, and all the other officers are just her background dancers. Back to Tokyo. Miss Overalls and Vin Diesel's sister break and enter the apartment with the Mexican flag, where they discover a photo of Han with a young girl. Suddenly, a young woman appears and tells them to get down, right as a hit squad attacks. Feminist kung fu ensues. Miss Overalls is saved by Han. Back to Edinburgh. A mysterious box is being delivered to a room. In a church, Otto places a small electrical device. Vin Diesel is driving, and now the whole gang is in London. And they're looking for as they're looking for John Cena, their tech gets scrambled. John Cena is stealing the other half of the Ares device. While critiquing the city of London, Roman sees a delivery man with cauliflower ears, and goes to fight him. After the fight, Ludacris's chain flies off and sticks to the truck, revealing that it contains a large electromagnet. Ludacris's backup dancer sees Otto exiting the church and decides to tail him. She then reveals she doesn't know how to drive, but decides to drive the delivery truck anyway. She drives the truck, the magnet, Ludacris and Roman away in pursuit of Otto. While Ludacris and Roman fight the delivery drivers in the back of the truck, Vin Diesel drives through the streets of London chasing John Cena and eventually gets up to the rooftops to chase him on foot. Ludacris and Roman defeat the delivery drivers, and Roman again points to their success as evidence of the fabricated nature of their reality. Vin Diesel finally catches John Cena when he then spears him off a zip line through a window. They fight. John Cena is about to escape when they use the super magnet, and his car rips through a gift shop and sticks to the truck. Back at John Cena's aircraft hangar, Otto begins to assemble an army to rescue John Cena. Cypher suggests that if this was a movie, this would be the moment where the bad guy has an unexpected setback. Cypher and Otto argue about which Star Wars character he would be. Back at Kurt Russell's secret hideout, John Cena is detained. Miss Overalls and Vin Diesel's sister arrive with Hans, who is greeted with disbelief and hugs. The young girl who is with Hans reveals that her parents created the Ares weapon and that her DNA is the key to using it. Suddenly, armed men descend on the base. John Cena leaves with the key girl. As the door shuts, Ludacris switches on the magnet, disarming the remaining guards, and everyone fights. The gang goes to exit the base, but Vin Diesel stays behind to sacrifice himself so the others can get out. The base is collapsing now, and while fighting off a dozen men, Vin Diesel falls into the water at the bottom of the base. Flashback. Vin Diesel walks through his memories, seeing himself as a little kid, and his dad telling him and his brother about what great cars Dodge makes. His flashback is interrupted by his son, Brian, who asks him, "When are you coming home?" Then Vin Diesel astral projects to the racetrack and witnesses Jacob tampering with the motor at his father's direction. Now Vin Diesel is watching Jacob lose the race that forced him into banishment. Vin Diesel is then surrounded by darkness until Miss Overalls dives into the water to rescue him. Vin Diesel wakes and has an emotional moment with Miss Overalls. They kiss. The gang returns to the base that just collapsed and begins strategizing on how to stop John Cena. Scene 7, John Cena and Otto and the key girl are watching a space shuttle launch. John Cena activates the Ares device. Cut to Ludacris and Roman in deep-sea scuba diving outfits en route to outer space in the rocket car. Cut to the rest of the gang that's pulling up on John Cena's caravan as he begins to satellite uplink from a moving armored truck. Cut to Ludacris and Roman launching into space and looking out over the Earth as they approach the satellite. Cut to John Cena, who has realized that Vin Diesel and company are pursuing him. Cut to Ludacris and Roman in space. They approach the satellite. Cut to John Cena, who decides to handle Vin Diesel and company himself, but is betrayed by Otto, who is partnered with Cypher. Cypher decides to take care of things herself. Vin Diesel and Miss Overalls use the magnets to pull cars into the path of the armored truck. John Cena comes to their aid, using the magnets to pull down telephone lines to flip the armored truck. Back in space, Ludacris crashes into the satellite. Back on Earth, Vin Diesel rides the upside-down armored truck down a mountain like a snowboard. Until the truck crashes into Cypher's jet, which is revealed to have been remote piloted the whole time. Vin Diesel and John Cena shake hands and make peace with each other. John Cena takes the keys to Vin Diesel's car and drives away. Blackout. Everyone is arriving at a family barbecue. Vin Diesel looks on as Miss Overalls plays with Brian, who is charged with blessing the food. Everyone sits at the table except for Vin Diesel, who stands and points out that there is an empty chair. They all hear an engine approaching, and they turn to look. And then a blue sports car pulls into the driveway. Roll credits.
One more. Let's hear it for Zach and that amazing plot summary. Any questions?
I have a question. What was the Star Wars character they were arguing about?
So Otto, he asserts that he would be Han Solo. Because,
right.
Right.
And then she said
Cypher's
Yoda.
like, no, you're Yoda.
That's right,
And
she
he's
says
like, the
Yoda.
little green guy? And they argue about that.
And then because it's a puppet.
Yeah, exactly, puppet.
Makes sense. All right, cool.
I just want to say,
Clarifying.
Zach, that's Audible Book of the Year right there. I need that copy. That was dope.
That was. I want to see you start a YouTube series where you just pick random like sequels of movies, like far into no context, and then you
Right.
just do exactly that. And
Yeah,
share
anything
the-
with 3 movies before it, where there's tons of backstory that the existing film coast on that momentum. Yeah.
So what with no context of any of the movies whatsoever, like what were some of your thoughts and impressions and like in thoughts for the movie?
Yeah. I'd never seen any of the Fast and Furious films, but I was aware of them culturally, I guess, enough to know like it's cars and crime and Vin Diesel. It's ridiculous. I knew it was a ridiculous film series, and then you told me the whole story about the Dom Shrine, and that's when I started to think like this is not just a wild movie series. This is one man's quest to see his vision enacted in the world. And I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It's I appreciate these films. I think they're very entertaining in the same way I think professional wrestling is entertaining. Like I don't think it's real, but you know, it's a roller coaster. It's fun. Enjoy the ride. Don't question it. Just push on forward.
Yeah.
That's what I think about the films.
Thank you so much. Love that. Let's give it up for Zach one more time.
Yeah,
That was
thank you.
Yeah.
he went above and beyond my expectations on that. I feel like his girlfriend hasn't seen him in like a year after having to write that. So it's just like, is he still alive? I don't know. Well, gang, what are our thoughts? We'll start with you, Bailey. If you have any things that jumped out to you about the movies, likes, dislikes, opinions, we'll go from there.
Yeah. So probably Cypher's haircut, like we had already talked about. That was bad.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Why did they? Does anyone have any theories as to why they thought that was a good? By the way, if you're wondering, audience, Cypher's haircut. If you didn't see the movie, it was a bowl cut. Like picture every 5th grade boy in the 90s.
Right.
But in Cypher, Charlize Theron in 2021.
They literally
But
gave
shorter.
her right. Look, I'ma chalk it up to just how the name is, being lazy. Being lazy. This haircut was horrible. Horrible. This was like they literally gave her Mo from the Three Stooges haircut. And then we were supposed to be afraid of her? I was like, what is this? What is this? This is an angry lady at a Supercuts who now wants to blow up the world.
I feel like we're taking for granted the fact that everything in these movies is intentional.
Right.
And
So someone was like, let's give her the. I
not
need to
someone.
speak to the manager.
Charlize Theron had to have picked that haircut for her character arc or motivation, because let us not forget when she had white girl dreads.
Yeah.
In the last movie.
Yeah.
She was like,
There's-
what can I do to top the white girl
Yeah,
dread?
yeah. There's no way that
5th grade bowl cut. Got
if
it.
she didn't like that haircut, she would not have that haircut in the movie. Like she was like, this is menacing. This is
Yeah.
imagine getting your ass beat by somebody with that haircut. It's like Mandark from Dexter's Lab. Like getting slam. Like if you got like slam dunked, like crossed over with somebody with that haircut, you'd be like, I am never playing this game again. Like,
It is terrifying, I guess, when you put it that way. That is true. It was
When
a very...
she had the dress, she did kind of embody the 2 twins from Matrix.
Yep, she really did.
both of them.
You're right.
I got a kick out of Roman's character basically being Deadpool of the FU now. Like he's definitely like his opening scene is like, how are we not dead yet? Which is what all of us are wondering. How are you not dead yet? And throughout the whole thing, he's just like, maybe we're invincible. Maybe we can do like. I don't
See,
know.
I don't want to go too far because this is a group podcast, but this is where we start delving into my theory of This is a Greek tragedy. All right, this is perfect Shakespearean storytelling. Roman becomes what's known as the chorus, and he also represents the audience looking in. So now they've transitioned. 1, 2, and 3, regular action movies. 4, 5, and 6, cool, crime, gritty, heist movies. 7, 8, 9, now we're into Godland territory where anything can happen. You know, the
Literally.
MCU, whatever, meteors falling, whatever. That's where now we've transitioned into that. And he's noticing. He's waking up.
Yeah. I mean, he literally kept saying that they were invincible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He noticed.
He's our eyes and ears there. So this is what I'm learning about you, Adam, is like you're one of those people. Not one of those people. That sounds. Let me finish.
Just saying that because
There are two kinds of Fast and Furious fans. There are the ones, I'll be like myself, who don't think there's a lot of rhyme and reason to the movies, but I just think they're fun, and they know they're fun, and they don't promise you a great plot or higher education afterwards. They don't promise you an amazing surreal moment. They promise you a good time with car crashes and laughing at how dumb they are. And I'm like, that's all I need in life. Like that. Thank you. And then there's the other fans who look at everything that Fast and Furious does through the lens of, like, this was on purpose.
Yeah.
And this was genius writing.
Yeah. It's a scripture. It's a scripture, really.
It's not that it doesn't make sense. It's I'm not intelligent enough yet to properly understand.
Yes.
But
What?
see, me,
We're
I'm the
connected.
exact opposite. See, because me and Adam was talking about this outside. So, like, I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, okay, maybe this was here for a reason, but there's a lot of stuff that is not here. Like, the one problem with F9 that bugged me the most, where y'all mama at? Where is y'all mama at? Okay, we have gone all these movies, y'all talking about y'all daddy. We get to your daddy, and we obviously see you and Jaxon, and he paying 2 child support payments for something. So, where is the mama at? Where is, there's a sister in here, too.
Maybe there's two
They
moms.
never talk about.
Right.
That's another thing I will say. They did not bring up, what is her name? His
Which-
sister. Dom's sister.
Mia.
Mia, right. She's not in any of the flashbacks.
Where's she at?
Right.
She was in the race. She was in the
one.
race
They
when
brought
She
Dom-
was
back-
at the she was at the race?
There was the drag racing scene where they kicked John Cena's character out of town.
Yeah.
Jacob.
Jacob, yes.
Right.
And I did like how they tried. But here's the funny thing: they brought back like all the characters from the first one. So there was a young Vince, a young Mia, a young
was a
Letty,
young Mia. I gotta look back at
a
that.
young Jesse. But did you all notice there was in our first episode when we watched we talked about the different crew, and there was that guy, I think his name was Leon or Lenny, and he's never referenced again in any of the movies ever. And they didn't even put him in this flashback. He's like maybe he didn't exist. Maybe I'm making him up. Do you remember Leon from the first movie?
There was a
Leon and Jesse were the last 2 friends to come about.
Yeah.
So, really, in a sense, they were just newcomers. You see what I'm saying?
So maybe Leon wasn't part of the crew.
Yeah.
Okay.
Leon really was Vince's friend.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So that was on me then. I see. This is where it's like, or are these movies
Wait.
dumb, or are they higher and more intelligent
You're
than you?
talking-
And in this case, that's what.
You're talking Leon, the guy that got mad at Paul Walker for trying to get with Mia?
No, that's Vince.
Vince.
But there's
okay.
another. There's another dude in the
Leon.
first
Yeah,
one.
the other. He drove. I think the yellow. He drove the yellow.
the
car.
yellow R33.
Yeah.
Yeah, he totally did.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Leon doesn't come back. I don't think.
No.
It's just Vince.
Unless he's the. What if him and Vin Diesel's mother were the villains behind everything, and it turns out.
Oh, so, okay. I
No,
know we
the
jumped,
absence.
but-
The absence. Okay, look here. The absence of the mother is what creates their necessity to try to keep a family together.
Right, mommy
That's where it
issues.
comes from.
there we
That's
go.
the absence is.
But-
And by the way, great job, Zach. But I do want to ask a quick question. Do you have a heart at all? Because how are you not crying when the blue car pulls into the driveway?
I'll be honest, I thought it was John Cena. When I first watched it, I was like, why does he get out of the car? He had to go film Royal Rumble or something? That's what I thought.
I don't cry because I'm very manly, but there was there were tears in my eyes, and I had the little frog in the throat, and I was like, he's gonna come bless everybody. Like Brian's not dead. Like he's not dead, but he's dead.
I
He
do
is
think
dead.
it's funny
He
that in in
as
this
hell.
movie, they always equate death to going and raising children. And, like, he's not here because he's out taking care of the kids, which is just as much as being dead.
I mean, might as well be. Might as well be. If you think about
The
it.
spirit passes through to the children. Guys, come on.
I mean, and then the other thing
You
is
have to
this.
explain the whole thing.
Look, here the craziest thing is this. Because I'm stuck on this mama business. So we got to see Jason Statham's mom. She popped in, right?
I have a note on that in a second.
So, and I thought that I was like, oh, okay, this Vin Diesel, this y'all mama, right? No, that's horrible.
Yeah.
That is horrible. And then think about something, right? We now know that Jack Toretto was a hoe. So it could be more brothers and sisters out there we don't know about, right?
That's true.
So that's also, I just want to throw that out
New
there.
movie is a new sibling.
Right. And then, and I know me and Adam have these theories about the endings of how Fast and Furious should go, but
We'll get there. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that will be how we like close overall some of the episode. But here was the thing about Helen Mirren, Deckard and Owen Shaw's mom in the scene where she's driving and Vin Diesel's in the car. There was more sexual chemistry between
Yes.
Dom and Mama Shaw than
Yeah.
because something we've been saying was how
Yeah.
this series stinks at like the romance, which is fair. Like no one watches Fast and Furious for the love story.
I ain't gonna lie, the romance be making me mad.
But like we said, we were like, oh, like Dom and Letty's like the best attempt. And then you see that short scene of Dom in the car with Helen Mirren and how much, like,
She wanted him to drive.
yeah, there's something there. There was
Before they even get in the car, he's looking at her. He's like,
He's looking at her like a
Yeah.
you can tell like Vin Diesel. He probably went to the shrine and was like, I had a vision. Like while Letty was brain wiped and while we were at odds with Jason Statham's character, like
I had a baby on the side.
he fucked Jason Statham's mom. Like that's you can tell he decided that he fucked Miss Shaw. Like
Oh,
for
Miss
sure.
Shaw, you back? How you doing? It's been quite some time.
You want me to give you a ride?
especially when you look into their Instagram communication, where like she was posting pictures and like I want to be in one of the Fast and Furious movies, and then he posted a video of them dancing sensually,
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
and then he was like, "She's a." I'm just saying,
I
there's
don't want
more love story.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to be the one to say it, but I'm gonna say it.
So,
Helen Mirren might have fucked Vin Diesel in the shrine room for the role.
He's a method
to
actor.
be Shaw's fucking mama. You know what I'm saying? That could have happened. Helen Mirren, she might. I ain't gonna lie. I used to have a crush on Helen Mirren. Helen Mirren might be a freak out here in these streets. You never know. You never know.
So
Say it.
transitions, right? Like, how do you go from that to?
it all comes full circle.
Here's what I really liked about this movie, although it might conflict with your saying that they actually are on purpose with their plot. I love how ridiculous F9 is. It is over the top. And by this point, I'm 8 movies in, so like I'm in the Fast universe. When they catch Letty with a car, I said to my friends I was watching with, "Oh, thank God there was a car there to break her fall." Like that's not a real thing. But 8 movies in, I'm like, yeah, that's what cars do. It makes sense. And so like there's so many stupid things in the movie. Like I was all on board with like when like this my favorite and the dumbest scene was when Vin Diesel's fighting off those 12 men in the sewer and he grabs the chains and he pulls the sewer down to finish off the army that it took an army to stop him, but they couldn't. And he had this and Vin Diesel and Dominic Toretto in none of the movies leading up to 9 has ever admitted fault. He's never been wrong on anything. And it took a clandestine experience from God or a higher being of him having a flashback astral projection moment to realize that not that he was sorry, not that he did anything wrong, but maybe there's some good in his brother left and all. That was the first attempt of Vin Diesel in 9 movies being wrong. But it wasn't really that he was wrong. It was just that there was information he didn't readily have available. And then he gets it through the act of something. And
Divine intervention.
And as dumb as that is, I was like, well, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, you gotta think about it. he haven't probably been having flashbacks from all the brain damage of jumping out of cars and shit and huffing gasoline.
All of his concussions, yeah.
This nos is it working? Oh, it's working.
And I love the biggest critiques people have about the movie is the scene where they go to space and also bringing Han back for a second time. Which let's give justice and credit to the fact that they killed him off in the third movie on purpose. And the fans were like, we want him back. And it was such a big deal that they brought him back in the fourth movie and explained that, the third movie was just in the future. And then the seventh movie, they killed him off again, but that was supposed to be like how he actually died. And there was so much, people were so angry about that. They had a hashtag justice for Han's moment. So they brought him back in the ninth movie. This character has died real in the TV show, the movie, or whatever. And the director's that's how much they love the fans. That's how much they either don't care or respect their audience. And people were making memes about let's go take him to space. And they're like, you know what? In F9, we'll send him to space in a Pontiac Fiero. And use duct tape to keep it together. And they'll be wearing scuba suits.
That's one of the craziest scenes of all time of any movie. In real life, when have you seen a running Fiero on the street? When? And then you're going to take one of these into space? What?
Yeah.
Wearing 1920s aquatic gear?
Because Lucas Black and Little Bow Wow said you could, and we don't mess with them.
Well, the best part about the space launch sequence, we were watching, I was like, so they have a plane that's flying a shuttle. They got everything, and they just couldn't go the extra mile and get the last thing they need was an actual spaceship. Why did they have to use a car? They had every piece. Where did they get all the other space equipment? The shuttle, they literally have a space shuttle. And they're like, yeah, no, the Fiero's got it. But that's also an important point that was intentional.
Not to contradict you, Adam, but the best thing about that scene is as they're flying into space, that like you do, Roman, he's had the pattern of just questioning his reality, and he questions, how do we know this is going to work? And Ludacris, my favorite line of the movie, he points to a notepad, and he says, it's all physics, man. It's just all math and science. As if that fixes it.
And we're like, okay, well then, yeah, that is. And if there's one series that's all about physics, it's Fast and Furious. When you when you're watching the magnets, you're like, I didn't think magnets worked that way, but now that I see them doing not magnetic things in a Fast and Furious movie, sure.
Right,
yeah.
and that was a terrifying thing. I don't think people really realize how terrifying that was to be like, this is a giant magnet. You are working downtown. I'm working in some random boutique. I'm in the bathroom taking a shit. Now, boom, and all of a sudden, cars come busting through here. You're like, what is going on? You know what I mean? That would be terrifying. Yeah, I would rather get eaten by a dinosaur.
Absolutely.
And somehow no civilians.
Which might be Fast
harmed.
11. That might be
Prehistoric.
No civilians harmed at all with any of the
never.
cars, the gunshots, the full auto. She has a full auto 50 cal that she's just spraying at an armored vehicle. Nobody is hit by that at all because the power of family. That's why it keeps everything. Yeah.
This is the power of insurance.
Yeah, they go out of their way in several of the movies. After something crazy happens, they'll be as the camera's moving, you'll see a news article that says, surprisingly, no one died in this accident that happened. They do that several times in the series, just in case you're like, oh no, because they do their best to try to make you forget that Vin Diesel and his family are criminals. They're mass terrorists. They're going around destroying towns to save the world from Yep, we got some agreement there. It is my favorite is in the fifth movie with the bank vault when they're just tearing apart.
In London? Yeah, I was thinking that.
They were just.
Okay, so fun fact about the fifth movie. That was originally, and I have never researched this any further, so if you want to fact check me, please don't do it live, is that they purchased the script of the Brazilian Job, which had been kind of shelved for a long time. So they busted out the Fast and Furious money, bought that, and were like, now we're doing heist movies. And so the
Okay.
vault, remember all the Mini Coopers dragging all of the gold around in the Italian Job. So that was supposed to be the sequel, was like them going to Brazil, doing a Brazilian Job, stealing this vault, was like the climax race scene, that happens in the Brazilian Job. And they that's what I'm saying, where the transition of like five,
Yeah.
from 5 happens. They're like, oh, now we're action heroes.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was accurate, because that heist scene is probably one of the best car chase scenes in cinematic movies. That scene is the best. Okay.
Fast 5 is just a standalone film. Like Fast 5 is great, and it would have been a great Brazilian Job, but
Yeah, but it was better because it had Vin Diesel in it.
Exactly.
So, I did want to mention, what did you guys think about Cardi B in the movie? There's a fun
Hated
fact
it.
around her.
That was a pretty
hated
good
it.
cameo.
Yeah.
I know you hate it, but I thought it was funny. I thought it was pretty funny. They put John Cena in there, so I didn't think that the sky was the limit at that point,
Absolutely.
honestly.
So what I heard about with Cardi B's inclusion was it was either Vin Diesel or the director Justin Lin, but they had a daughter who's a real big fan of Cardi B. So they were like, we're going to include her in the movie. And what they did was they gave her character a complete backstory that's never mentioned in any of the movies. And there's no reference to it except for if you read interviews, they're like, yeah, we gave her character a backstory that we might go into later if we want. But apparently she's has a girl crew of people, and like they've worked with Vin Diesel's crew before, and they're like well known in the universe. And it's because someone's daughter is a really big Cardi B fan, and they're like, yeah, let's give her a character. And then because it's Fast and Furious, and they don't really care, they just had one throwaway line in the movie that explained it all. And it's like, oh, okay.
You said someone's daughter, so that would be a member of their family. Yeah.
Yes.
Low key, she looked more like Vin Diesel than Maya does. So she know where their mama is. I just want to throw that out there.
So, did we have, and this is going to be a hard question for you, Adam, did we have any issues with the movie? Were there any things that we were just like, 9 movies in, that doesn't track?
Well, my original issue was that it was too short. So I purchased the director's cut, which is like almost 3 hours long, and I
Yeah.
That
watched
seems
that.
like a fitting amount of time for that
Yeah,
movie.
I watched that one, and it really cleared up a lot.
Oh, good. Someone on Reddit talked about that too. They were like, "Well, if you watch the director's cut." Also, everyone blasted this movie online when I asked for like polls of what people thought of F9, and then and it's been a week of people just talking about how terrible the movie is. You can check us out on Reddit or on TikTok and all the other things at the Quarter Mile Podcast and see people's comments on it. But just last night, one person was like, "F9 was my favorite movie of the whole series." And I was like so proud of this person to jump on with like 180s. This is the worst movie, and he's like, I actually liked it. And I was like, I like prayed for this person. I was like, I don't know which 12-year-old
Respect.
YouTuber is about gonna knock you out. But anyway, my biggest issue with this movie was I thought John Cena was a terrible villain for it. I thought. He should have been this. If they called me up and were like, Drew, how should we make this movie better? This is what I would tell them. Cypher should have been in charge from the whole time because she was the bad guy who got away from F8, and then she ended up being in charge by the end of the movie. And she had such a great villainous haircut, so you can't put that to waste. And then John Cena was apparently like he was doing all this stuff and stuff like that. But like if he had been working for her, his character would have been so much better. Like they didn't need the double cross; they needed her to be in charge the whole time. We would have lost the Star Wars quotes, which is a bummer. When he's like, "Get me Chewbacca" or something,
That was just so random, though.
I forgot there were two Star Wars references.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
and Yoda puppet sticking up your yeah. I'm trying to think of what she said. She's like, yeah, because he has a hand up your ass. You're the puppet, right? Like that was.
Yeah, I think so.
So, my other issue was the start of the movie was them going after and trying to find Mr. Nobody, and then they never mentioned him again, and they never found him.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
I mean, sure, they saved the world, but they never found the guy that like they
So that
left
did
to go
happen.
help.
That definitely happened. Okay, cool. I thought that I was just crazy because they definitely watched a video that was distorted of him, and then random pop-ups, and then it just kind of went away completely.
Yeah.
But they wound up in his lair, or his old lair, right?
Yeah, it was
Because Jacob had worked.
Yeah,
with
he'd
them.
worked with him, and so
Yeah. I don't know.
But they at the end of the movie, although there's a lot of people online that have speculated that Mr. Nobody's actually the main villain overall, which is something we talked about last
That would make a lot of
when we
sense.
were like, he's just psychotic, like he's having a blast with all this
psychotic.
international terrorism. He's like, hey gang, let's go check out this news. And it's like people are dying. Like maybe they just broke in and killed some of your soldiers. You just broke a guy out anyway. Check out episode 8 if you want to hear our tirade on that. And then I think that was all I was going to say about that. This is the best part about editing is I can pause awkwardly to make sure. It's like I knew there was one thing I forgot, but I don't remember what it was. So, anyone else have any issues or thoughts or problems with the movie?
Well, piggybacking, Cypher, okay, so Cypher's never not in control. That's what you have to learn about Charlize Theron's character. So she was, even though she was in the box, she might as well have been in the driver's seat.
Absolutely.
To use a driving pun. But then, Jacob was never the villain. He was the sympathetic or empathetic antagonist, right? He's not a protagonist. He's not even really the villain. You know what I mean? He moves us forward. I won't get into the bringing everything full circle for F10. We'll save some fuel in the tank.
My main issue with the movie was, one, right, Lenny and Vin Diesel. That was one part of the issue for me because it was like Vin Diesel was like, bro, you have a kid with a big booty Brazilian junt, okay, that you just left to the wind, okay, all right, and then who is a police officer? Let's not forget that. Then you got Letty. Letty, if you ever watch Letty, is like, I don't give a shit about your kid.
She does not. She
I don't give a
got on
shit
that
about your
motorcycle so
kid.
quickly.
Right? She's like, I don't. This ain't my kid. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? I had brain damage, and you was out here having children, right? Like, when you see that, that's crazy. And I'm like, and it's almost like Vin Diesel's like, look, he don't spend time with his kid. He's spending time with Brian's kid. Like. That's crazy. You teaching Brian's kid how to work on cars? Where is your son?
No, that was his kid though. That was his kid.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. That is true. That is true. My bad.
I mean, it's fair because he looked like he was like we couldn't tell his age, but he was a baby in 8, and then there's just a random toddler. And so I get that, but
it's mainly the fact that Letty. I feel I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm like Letty. I'm like,
she was like,
well, your kid, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? And then. If the other thing, I guess, was the fact too that like we don't get no mentions of moms, none of that.
Once you have family, your dad. Like,
I guess you know what I mean. Like then too, now Cardi B, the question now that stuck in my head. I'm like, that's his sister or something, right? But then I think the main thing is that it's just some of the character development, like because I just love the movies, but it's like there's things that I'm like, yo, people forget. Ludacris was taking classes, I guess on DeVry or something, the entire time to become a computer hack because this man owned an illegal chop shop in Miami.
Too Fast, Too Furious.
Yes, like people forget that, right? People forget that, and then it's like technically Roman Pierce, he didn't get expunged. He is still a convict. Okay, he is still a convict. Like. And then it's like, okay, who is building the cars now? The only person building the car is Vin Diesel. No, who is?
You don't need anyone else when you have Vin Diesel building cars.
Bro, stop it. Because it's like Letty, she was out here helping build cars. Letty's like, oh, you got a kid? I got stuff to do. I'm getting my nails done. And it's like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Brian's, he is in hell watching children somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And then. Absolutely. That was my main issue because it's like each movie we have at least seen them work on something, right? Like work on some kind of car or whatever. Because it's like when they get the car that they're gonna be in, it's almost like the Power Rangers. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you got the Zoid for this or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like that. But that's the one thing that pissed me off. I'm like, we don't see nobody work on nothing. And like there's a guy in the audience, right? Who we came up on cars, and it's like. That's something that for a car movie, you gotta see somebody at least turn a wrench or do something.
Oh, we saw Little B turn the wrench. He picked the
And
right
then he got
wrench,
stuck into
and
a
he
hole.
said-
Yeah, and then they talk about that fuel line thing. There was some car stuff.
I mean,
good old car stuff.
yeah.
How to install magnets into your car. I feel there was NOS in the spaceship. There's plenty of technicalities.
Oh my God.
I love
Yeah.
I love that in the universe. There's nothing wrong with it. I love that in the universe. Vin Diesel's son, Dom's son, he names him Brian,
Yeah.
and it's done like as a outside looking in. It's done as like a tribute to the death of Paul Walker. But like in universe, it's like, well, what is Brian's kid? What is he gonna name his kid? Right. It's like in the universe, he's gonna name him Dom. Like yeah, like.
And that's another thing too. It's like, okay, well, Maya Ben had the kid. How old is he now? Right?
Yeah, he's. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
See?
They don't matter. So before we move on, we wanted to give, if any of you in the audience have any like raging, I have an opinion on Fast and Furious that these 4 people have stirred in my heart, and I really want to get off my chest. We want to open it up if you have any thoughts and concerns about the movie, and if you want to, you can absolutely get up on the mic and share it, so that our live stream can see. But if you don't, if you just want to share it with just us girls, then you know you can do that.
Just hang out.
Just do that too. So, does anyone have any Fast and Furious feedback? God, I feel like we've basically gone as long as the movie just talking about the movie. So,
Wow.
I want to see some real mechanic work. I want to see, somebody doing something. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's cool. Like you got, because they got hella money now, right?
That's true.
They got money from all over the different countries. So it's like you got parts or whatever, but it's like I still want to see that. Like, okay, well, we need to find some whatever car in the junkyard, and now we need to build this car, and that's kind of like the car for the movie,
Yeah.
or whatever. Because it's like, how many times are you gonna wreck this old school car and then keep rebuilding it? That should be boring by now. Pick something else. You know what I mean? Like that's what I would think, or whatever.
You just want some garage scenes like they had in the first couple.
Yeah.
Movies. Just a little bit, just a little.
Exactly.
We got to drop
Yeah.
in some torque.
Right.
Power.
And then it's like now y'all back at home, right? You don't have to live overseas. You back in your old house or whatever, right? So it's like we should definitely be seeing some of that,
Well,
or whatever.
It would be like a good call, like what Iron Man 3 did, where like he stripped him of the suit, and then he had to like build a really shitty version of it. He had to do it without his resources, because if you don't have the suit, like if you can't do it without the suit, then you're not the superhero. So there needs to be they need to lose their resources maybe at some point in one of these movies, so then that way they can get back to their roots.
I mean, I get that, but it's like that strong feeling of being like, this is a car movie, right? This is a car movie, and like we all know that you can't make the car go without working on it, right? So it's like, and it's like that's their whole MO. Their whole MO basically is that like whether they're doing a heist or going to space or whatever, the whole MO is that they know how to work on the cars, whatever it is you put in front
That's
of them.
why you
they
hire
know-
the Fast and Furious team.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I miss the races. Like they used to always have a race in the movie, and I thought that was cool. And they kind of scaled it back as far as cars in the movies. But one thing they still try to do is include like the cars kind of match the personality of the person driving. They used to do a lot more, and I would love to see a lot more. But like when they went from racing movies to spy movies, that was something that they kind of transitioned, and it happened kind of in between directors too. Okay, so random transition. No transition, actually, not even a random one. Speaking of cars, let's talk about villain rankings. So here's what I'd like to do, and we're gonna do it with movies and villain rankings. Me and Bailey, we're gonna talk about it as it compares to our list, and then for Adam and Nathan, we're gonna ask you guys to share with us how you feel, like in a broader sense, how you feel about the movies and the villains. Like would you put it as like your favorite movie or favorite villain, or like in the middle? And like we'll let you share more about that too, because we want to hear you guys' opinion. So Bailey, why don't you kick us off with villain rankings? Where do we put, and who are we counting? John Cena as the villain for this one?
I guess so. That's
Yeah.
what I was thinking.
Yeah,
So it's
let's-
Jacob, technically.
yeah, okay.
Because I saw that you put his name in here.
Yeah.
Also,
In case I forgot where I ranked him, I put him in there. So
I know
it's fine.
people try to spell things all quirky and stuff.
That is how he
But,
spells his name. I'm not wrong.
yeah,
It's with a
that's-
K instead of a C.
The
You know, like an
stupidest of the
illiterate
That's
person.
dumb. Anyway, so
Jacob.
that's dumb. I don't really consider him much of a villain in this, really. So I would probably just put him at the very end. Honestly,
He's the
he
9th,
seems
10th,
like
10th
that
worst
he's
villain.
just
Yeah.
a brother that's used to being in his other brother's shadow,
Right.
And it broke him, and now we're here.
Yeah, he
So-
took the most extreme reaction to people liking his
They went
brother
through
more than
trauma.
him.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all been there, but becoming an international criminal, that seems like a bit
Yeah.
much. Like, I put him, in my rankings, I put him as third to last. So the two that I think are less, I didn't think he was a good villain, and the two that I would put as worst villains, and by that I mean like not fun to watch, not like diabolical. Worst villains, I put Reyes from 5, and then Tran from 1, because I'm still trying to figure out, like, I need to rewatch. Was he that
Reyes
bad?
and
Like,
Tran, yeah, I don't know.
so, but I'll put him as third to last, so not very notable. So, what now? Now, what do you guys think as far as villains go? Where would you put this overall in your?
I think me and Adam, we on the same boat.
You want to
Like,
go first?
The guy from the dude from the second movie, right?
Yeah.
He number 1 because he was putting rats on people's stomachs with buckets. Like that's psycho shit.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna say Tran after that because Tran really had goons and Tran would really pull up on you on dirt bikes with AKs and shoot at you and shit. So it's like that was some real mobster type shit. Those two top, and then after that is I would say, man, I'll say Cypher just because her stupid ass haircut. I have to say that, and then I have to go. I guess Deckard, and then the Deckard, and then the rest of them, and really Jacob. He go last because his name is stupid, and then the other thing is that the fact that like Jacob really just had middle child syndrome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all it was. He was the middle
I
child.
always forget about me.
Yeah, see?
I was like, oh, there's 3 of them. That's right.
Right. Cardi B could have been after that, but
Yeah.
who knows? But the thing, he really just had middle child syndrome, and he
Yeah.
was just mad at the world. He couldn't get his way.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right. And then it's like, how could you not get brainwashed by a chick with a stupid ass haircut? Like,
What about you, Adam? What do you think?
So like Nate was saying, I think the classic, like quintessential villain. I want to say, was it Carter? Is that the guy from the second movie?
Yep.
Yeah, Carter. I mean, he's chopping off cigars, like he said with the rats in the bucket. I think he's great, but I think Johnny Tran. He is also a sympathetic villain in that he wasn't really the villain. He wasn't actually the villain of the first
Right.
movie. He was. What was he doing? Defending his family. That's what he was doing in the first movie. They were coming after him for race wars. He was trying to stand up for his family's legacy.
Which
he
was the name of a race gang. It wasn't. Well, anyway,
Oh, yeah,
watch the first movie.
Yeah,
and-
sorry, you gotta watch the first movie. Race wars. Not what it sounds like.
That was the craziest thing too, because Tran was an Asian dude who wasn't on no gang activity, and his parents loved him. You know what it's like for
He
Asian
slapped him in the
kids?
face when the police
Right.
came in.
Yeah.
That and like for his dad to slap him in the face and be like, "You're a disgrace." Tran was ready to burn the city down.
Yeah.
He was ready to burn the city down. That's how you know he was dangerous.
And that's what led to the canon event of losing Jesse, which we don't have to get into that right now if we don't want to. But so him, and then I think honestly, Cypher, honorable mention for probably the best, because like I said, she's never not in control of what's going on, and then she has something that happens in the next movie in
Yeah.
10. But she,
I swear they're gonna redeem her, and I'm gonna cry.
she kind of did get
I
redeemed
don't-
a little bit.
Nope. She's still a villain.
But the real villain, I
don't
think
wanna
we gotta all acknowledge the fact is Vince for dropping the F slur in the first movie. He was like, you could go down the street to Burger King and get a burger and fries for $5.99. Bloop, and just like drops it. It's like, whoa, what?
I was so worried there for a second. I was like,
No, I'm gonna say it in my car later when I'm singing to a soundtrack.
I was like, oh crap.
Hey,
You said it wasn't a clean podcast.
right. But like, the funny thing is that to me, as a lot of people looked at Vince as like he was a villain, but really Vince
was the hero the entire time.
I'm sorry, can you say that louder so Bailey can hear it?
Look, really, to be honest, Vince was the hero the
Anti-hero.
entire time. Here's the reason why Vince was the hero the entire time. Vince's character really should have been a black dude, to be honest, because Vince is at the races. He done grew up with this dude, right? They hanging out all the time. Then think about something. You know your homie. We hanging out and stuff like that. We stay at our daddy house now. You know what I mean? You stay here, this and that. You meet this random ass Superman, blue-eyed white man, and go, it's okay. And then he had Negro instincts and was like, this is the police.
Yeah.
This is the police. This is the police. He said it. He told him this. And then look, here go the real villain of the movie, the first one, right? And a lot of times people get Maya, but Mia was a villain in the first movie. Think about this. Think about as a man, you his friend. You like, we doing everything together. You treating his house like it's your house. You are treating his sister like she is the best thing in the world. And then here come this white man who eat tuna sandwiches like a weirdo in the heat. And goes, hey, I'm just here for that. And then she had the nerve to go, hey, I'm going to give you what restaurant. And then she took him to this restaurant. And Vince literally, if you watch the movie, when they leave the restaurant, Vince's car is across the street.
Oh, God.
Vince was there. He was watching. And think about something. I don't even think it was on no stalker stuff. I think he was just like, I just want to make sure she's safe from this random ass dude who eat tuna sandwiches. Come on, man.
Dude, that was villainous behavior because she literally goes, Vince, what was that restaurant you wanted to take me to? And he's like, Fazoli's. And then she's like, Brian, take me there.
Right.
That was so fucked up, dude.
Right.
So
after your homie just gave him your beer.
That Mia is the
we Bailey and I had a great discussion about all of this on our first episode.
Exactly.
About that, which is we appreciate hearing your sides.
Right.
I know Bailey has opinions on Vince. So if you want to, if she doesn't know it, you all check out our 5th episode and check out our 1st episode and check out our 2nd episode, and you can catch up on the whole world building. But do you have any? Would you like to respectfully disagree with any of the things that these gentlemen have said? And we won't give them the opportunity to refute afterward. You'll get the final say on the Vince issue.
Okay. Well, so I think that maybe when you're a female and you hold power and guys are looking at you like a snack, you can do whatever you want. So when you got this dude that's been probably chasing her, but we don't know because they don't give us any backstory actually about Vince besides him looking at her like a snack. Or maybe he's a brother, but if she would have given him the light of day, which obviously he was trying to get her to do the entire time because he was jealous of Brian the entire time, and him showing up to everything unsolicitedly is a little weird. Not communicating to an adult female things about that you've known for a while is a little weird. But a random stranger blue-eyed dude, with the tuna sandwich, that's also a little weird. So I'm not quite sure where I stand, actually. I don't really like Brian, but, R.I.P., we respect, and I'm okay with stuff.
All right. I'm okay with stuff. I wish more of us had that answer on things. Like, whatever, man. I'm okay with stuff.
Things have happened the way that they needed to happen. Yeah.
Both. I was going to say both of them are dead, but that's not right.
Yeah. Well,
and it's also wrong in a couple different ways.
One is dead literally.
It's having kids
and the other one is
raising them
dead
in Fast and
figuratively.
Furious. That's
so.
But. Okay, movie rankings. Where we? I put this one in between 6 and 8 for me. So that's put it 5th on my list. I got 7, 5, 2, 6, 9. I thought, and then kind of it was like the worst or the best of the worst for me. After that, I felt like it was like they started getting a little. And I should always reiterate, all of these are my favorite movies. So when I say the best of the worst, I would still pick them over literally any movie on earth. But this one was a fun one, but like if I were to look at it like plot-wise, I'll put it at mid. So what do you think?
Yeah, okay. I mean, there were definitely some holes that I had questions about, but I had figured that there was going to be more that they gave us because we're already there. We already know that there's more. So I guess that's ruined for me. But that made it into my top 4 probably. So it's 7, 2, 8, 9, 5, 6, 4, 1, 3.
All right, cool. And then next month this is a commercial. Next month when we do when we have to watch the 10th one and we do our overall rankings, we'll have permission to completely change it based on what
definitely going to completely change it.
I have one down as the second to worst in this right now.
I do too, and I don't think I really agree with that entirely, but I need to revise the situation.
But for everyone watching, listening, we do have an ongoing poll. So I was like, I don't know how that ended up there. So I'm not gonna ask. I'm gonna because I'm kind of trying to. We got stuff going on that we need to cover. So I will ask you guys this: what would be your favorite Fast and Furious movie? One for Nathan, and then.
Yeah, I got to go with 1.
Got to go the original. So
Honorable mention 5.
Okay, that's fair. And those are like statistically, that's what everyone's been picking. So, all right. So we have a couple more segments. First, we're gonna bring up our quarter mile spotlight, who's a friend of all of ours, who's been on the podcast with you, and he's does all the visual effects for our podcast, the videography. So let's welcome Alan Ingalls. He's gonna come up and he's gonna borrow your set. So Alan is our quarter mile spotlight, which is we always pick someone who's doing something cool, creative, running. So we're going to have Alan kind of share a little bit about who he is and what he does, specifically what you do. Because if you guys want to know more about who Alan is, check out our 3rd episode on Tokyo Drift. He was our first guest, and then just like Tokyo Drift, they adopted Han after Tokyo Drift, we adopted Alan after episode 3.
This is perfect, and he came back.
He came back for
and
number 9.
That's perfect timing.
Fantastic.
Anyway,
so
we did that on purpose.
So the 2 questions I would love to hear from you. Yeah, totally on purpose. The 2 questions I would love to hear from you. One is your just in general thoughts of 9. If you have any reactions to anything we've set up here, we'd love that. And then 2, tell us more about your company and then how ways we can connect with you. So.
Well, as far as F9 goes, it's because they went to space. It's literally the epitome of how ridiculous the franchise got. And it's a good example of that. Like whenever you describe to someone the Fast and Furious franchise, you go, well, in the first one they're still in DVDs, and in the second one in the 9th one they go to space. That's kind of how this movie franchise works. So go into it with that in mind. But it wasn't one of my favorites by any means, because I am a huge fan I'm a car enthusiast, and I like cars. And I really liked the first 3 because they were centered around cars. And the cars themselves were characters in the movie.
Absolutely.
That, like you were saying earlier, they're paired with the individuals and they fit their personalities, but the cars themselves had those cars looked like 2000s. I mean, they had wild graphics and all that kind of stuff. And some of the later films, the cars have a much more modern looking design to them. They're super clean. They don't have graphics. It's what you would actually see at a car show or at, in someone's driveway or in someone's garage if they had a really nice lift and nice cars in it. But they don't. In the original movie, no one actually had cars that looked like that until after the movie came out. And I missed that about the franchise actually characterizing these cars and causing people to go, I'm going to do some stupid shit to my car now. And because you would actually see people with those graphics after that movie came out. Nobody did that before. And now they're more representative of what cars are actually like, and they don't Hollywoodize them and make them over the top. Well, the Fiero's pretty over the top, but so I miss that, and I miss the street racing. I miss all the things that the original movies had that got me into the franchise. But I'm so bought into the family and the characters and all of the story now that I'm just like, I know it's going to be a weird James Bond, Jurassic Park amalgamation of craziness, and I'm just along for the ride now. But I would like to see him return to form at some point, maybe, and introduce that world to a new generation of car enthusiasts and to a new generation of car movie fans. Like, we don't really get any good car movies anymore, and this franchise is still going strong, but it's kind of sad that it's going strong because it's basically James Bond now and not car movies. So. That's my feelings on F9. And then as far as who I am and my company and stuff, so I'm a filmmaker and photographer. I work for a company called Rough Country. They make they're like a off-roading and outdoor lifestyle brand, and I get to shoot video and photos of lifted trucks, rock crawling and overland rigs and stuff like that on a daily basis. So that's a pretty dope day job, but that wasn't enough for me in my life, so I decided to start my own video production company called The Attention Company. And through it, I do commercial work and things like that. But the main thing I do are music videos. I do occasionally do a short film. I've got 2 short films that I filmed in August. And one of them's edited and premiering at a film festival next weekend, actually, at the Hub City Film Festival. And the other is still being edited. I'm editing it now, and it was a 6-day shoot, so it's going to take a minute. And then I do stuff like this. I filming the podcast for you guys. I also film and do video production on several other podcasts. And
Ours is his favorite.
For sure. And in all of them, I kind of encompass. I like to, like you're kind of doing to me right now. I like to shine a spotlight on other artists. So, my dad was a musician. I wanted to be, I wanted to do things on stage and be a drummer and stuff like that, but I quickly learned that I'm better behind the camera, behind the scenes, and I developed this skill set and doing video and doing photography and stuff, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm never going to be a front man, or hold a guitar on stage or do something like that or act in movies, then I have this knack for, using a camera. I'm going to use that then to, shine a spotlight on artists, on the thing that I would have liked to do, but now I have the capability to provide those artists with better marketing, better photos, better video than they may have the capability of getting on their own. So short films, I work with writers and directors. I just do the camera stuff. I don't write the films. I don't direct the films. I just do the technical stuff and allow them to write the stories. And a lot of writers, directors, the several that I've worked with don't know how to operate a camera. So their stories would never be told if it wasn't for someone like me that wasn't trying to be the next Steven Spielberg. I'm okay being Steven Spielberg's camera guy, and help get his vision to the audience. And then there's the actors. They don't, if they don't have projects to act in, they don't have the opportunity to do some short films and some smaller projects to get seen and get to the the bigger world of Hollywood. Musicians, love working with musicians and doing live shows, photography, video, and then music videos to help promote the musicians and also the music, both in the same.
Yeah.
And then podcasts like this. The first couple videos you guys did, it was like I'm interested in Fast and Furious, and I know you and had just recently had met you before you started doing the show, and the conversation was so great that I was like, I can help with the other part of that they're not experienced with. And when we got together and I was a guest, and I was like, let me bring my gear out and do it. And you're like, okay, cool. And we did. And then you were like, okay, can you do that every time now? And I said, yeah, because that's anything that I can add or do to help elevate the conversation that you guys are having to make it look better, sound better, and reach a bigger audience is it's kind of what the Attention Company is all about.
Yeah.
It's getting viewers and consumers' attention on artists that might not otherwise have the capability of creating quality media.
Yeah, I love that. And if you all need proof of that, go back and look at our first and second episode on YouTube, and then see the video quality there, and then go watch from 3 and beyond, and you'll be like, oh, he's such a nice guy, and they really needed him, and he was so helpful. So, and if you're interested in reaching out and trying to work with Alan or get his help on your projects, or if you want to see more of what he does in this episode and every single other episode since we did 3, we have all of his social media for the Attention Company and his personal social media, so that's someone you can reach out to. Thank you, Alan, for being here. So let's give him up a hand.
Thank you, Alan.
So before we end, we have one more segment of our show, and it is called Bailey's Best Bits, and Bailey's going to tell us a little bit about it, and then we're going to tell everyone how they can. We have a decent enough, like a small enough group where we can give you all options to get involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is Bailey's Best Bits, where I choose typically 3 moments or 3 things because I like the number 3 and it makes sense. And then you choose which one was the best bit or which one is the best option of what I'm saying. So I actually came up with 2 for this one because I have the most fun moments, which I didn't put the car in outer space because that's just going to be obvious, because that's random. And then I have the character development as well because, again, we got the family back. We got quite a few of the original members, so you get to see of the development at this point from 9 movies. So I'll do the most fun moments first, or I guess whichever you want to.
Let's do fun moments. Also, super random, but does someone have a pen I can borrow?
Oh,
Like a vape pen?
there should be one in my purse, Rach.
I got one.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna try to. So here's the different part of this. It's usually just me and Bailey, and usually I'm guessing the answer. And if I get it right, I get a point. If I get it wrong, she gets a point. But we have enough people, and I'm kind of killing her in the competition. So so what we're gonna do. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give everyone the option to get the answer, to guess what her best bit is, and then we'll if you're correct, I get a point. And if you're incorrect, she gets a point. And not saying that this isn't a fair competition either because you have 2 options to be incorrect and only 1 option to be correct. So I'm not exactly, but I'm so confident in my lead, I'm not too worried about it. So anyway, so we'll all get options. So Bailey, go ahead and tell us the fun ones, and then we'll do the character development after that.
Okay, I think I'm just entirely predictable, but so we've got the Queenie scene whenever the good old Vin Diesel, he catches her stealing, and then she's like, "Oh, why don't you be my driver?" And then he's like, "No, you can do it." And then they drove and all that good stuff. That was funny because obvious reasons. Shaw's mom is literally a baddie, so. And then next you got Ramsey driving that car because she's never driven before, and it's in a Fast and Furious movie over a person that's never driven before. So that was very interesting for them to add into that. It's a different scene to see somebody cause chaos for something that wasn't as intentional this time. She just was bad at driving. And then you have the Han's apartment scene where you had all the baddie females kicking whoever that was, his butt.
Who even knows at this point?
I don't even know who this guy was. I can't remember if he was a part of the bad Jacob team, the bad Cypher team, or a random dude from the Tokyo Drift stuff. So I'm not quite sure. But they were kicking people's butts. So that's the 3 moments. So to chalk it up, Queenie scene, Ramsey driving scene, Han's apartment without Han.
So you guys have at least 3 fingers. So you're gonna hold up which one you think it is for her the scene that she picked. And for reiteration, it was Queenie driving.
Yep.
That's number 1. Number 2 was
Ramsey
driving, and number 3 was
the girl fight scene in Han's apartment.
Yeah, there we go. So and you can completely guess, even if you haven't seen the movies, you can just pick one. So
yeah.
And really, what you're picking is what you think Bailey thinks is the most fun one. It's not really what you think. So let me see your dim fingers, and I'm gonna go last. So I got a 3, I got 2s, I got 3s, I got 2, I got 1. Is that 3? Yeah, 3. All right. You know what? I'm inclined to. I feel like she spent this most time talking about 2, so I'm gonna go 2. So which one was it? And keep your fingers up so I can tally how many points we get. Which one was it?
Why does it? I even put it in a different order this time. That's not fair. Do I do that every time? Do I always put it for the second one? No? Okay, well, the Ramsey driving, was that the one that you were saying?
That was the one I said.
2?
But yeah, so if you said 2, I get a point. But a lot of people didn't say 2. So let me see your fingers so I can count how many.
Technically, it is 2.
Okay, so I get 2 points from that, but then I get you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points from that one. This is such a smart strategy on my part for this game. I'm so glad I did this. Okay, I'm going to need you guys to be correct on the next one. Okay. So I'm still going to go last.
You've been already winning this
but
entire
I'm gonna
time.
need you to. I'm gonna need.
I have to make a comeback.
I'm gonna need you guys to do better. That was a warm-up round,
Oh my god.
and I'm not impressed.
Wow.
So let's characterization mode. That's a good category. Though.
Well, for the next one, character development, you've got 1, again, Ramsey, 2, Letty, and then 3, Roman.
so
Who
this
do
is
you think?
how much they've grown over.
How
the
much
past.
they have grown over the series? It's
Again, feel free to guess if you
Ramsey,
don't.
Letty, and Roman. And I know that technically Ramsey hasn't been through it and stuff very long, but she's been in like those weird,
3, yeah, she's
crazy
been, like-
yeah, she's
we've
been
seen
in
her-
enough.
we've
It's
seen
been
some
in
growth,
enough.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So
She
she
ain't
counts.
been in no kind of real danger.
Yeah. So yeah, character development. So it was Ramsey was 1,
Yep.
Letty 2,
Yeah.
and then Roman 3.
Yes.
All right. What do you guys think? I'll go last because I know I'm right. I got
No, I mean,
3 for Letty.
oh, you
2
said Letty was 3. You said.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Roman
so this
is
one's
Roman,
actually
Roman,
in
Roman.
order,
Yeah, yeah.
kind of,
3
sort of,
is
not
that-
really,
That's
but
3. Okay, I thought it was 4 at first. So I got
yeah. Ramsey 1, Letty 2, Roman 3.
You guys are making me second guess myself.
Real 3.
What do you think it is?
I should not trust you guys from
Don't
the last
mess
one,
up.
but peer pressure is a thing. So I'm gonna also
Don't
say
choke.
I feel like Roman is the most accurate, but Letty has the most stage time, and Ramsey no. So I'm gonna go 3. Roman. What's the real answer?
Well, I guess you got that one.
Oh, so okay. So how many people had 3? 1, 2, so 3, and then oh my gosh, 4 points, and then so I wonder. This might be really embarrassing. And then keep your fingers up for the people who weren't 3. So I got 1, 2, 3. You were 3 though.
He was a 2.
So okay, well, I don't know if this is going to help you as much as I was hoping because you did get 8 points. But I got 6 points, and our current score is 7-3. So I don't think this. Well.
Well, at least we're having fun.
There we go. That's the spirit. The real winning was this podcast experience. This is what we can say.
Yeah.
Okay, so before we close out, just a few things. 1, thank you all so much for coming. Give yourselves a hand for being awesome and being at our podcast. 2, thank you so much for the High Tone, who's currently getting ready for another show, and nobody who's working at the High Tone can hear me say thank you. But maybe they'll listen to us when we air this episode next Wednesday and be like, yay. So let's give it up for the High Tone for being awesome.
Yay.
And lastly, thank you, guests. We had
yeah.
this was like the Avengers of the Quarter Mile podcast. We had everyone here, so thank you for being here. You all made this show so much fun and unique, and I'm very excited to post it out, and because this will just have a fun spice to add to our show. So
Yeah.
and then the other things are, Bailey, do you want to let us know all the social medias that people can follow and do?
You can follow us on all socials. That is the Quarter Mile Podcast. And then on TikTok only is Quarter Mile Podcast.
Because they hate us, yeah.
Because they hate us, as per usual, is what I always say.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we're everywhere. That sounds so creepy.
All around
Yeah,
you.
just give us a like and subscribe. Okay, well, thank you guys so much. This has been the Quarter Mile Podcast. We've had fun, and we just want to remind you to do your thing, listen to a podcast, go have fun. We're about to go to a roast comedy show, some of us, and others of us are going to go eat. Like, do whatever you want after listening to this podcast. Just have a good time and live your life a quarter mile at a time. Have a great day.